Hello, Luke here. I would just like to take a moment to disclose upfront that we sometimes talk about sensitive topics in our podcasts, and in fairness to our audience, we will try our best to put specific warnings in the descriptions of each episode. Now on with the show.
Wilson's got some 4Ds. He's a deputy looking to party, man. Grimm's got some kind bud. Hanging out with his dog. He's a skater, bro. I don't like either man. But my buds are dying, so what choice do I have? All my other friends are getting sick. It's gonna come. Come for me soon. All my other friends are getting sick. It's gonna come. No, I'm gonna catch it. It's Pumped Up Kicks by Foster the People. Welcome to the Nostalgia Killers podcast, where we revisit films from our youth to see if they still hold up or should be inserted into the great DVD player in the sky. My name is Chuck Starzenski, and I am joined once again, almost as always, by Javier Martinez.
Don't call me that, you fucking slut.
That's right, we're throwing it back to 2003, everybody. A group of selfish teenagers in their early 30s catch the plague after murdering a homeless guy in cabin fever.
Ooh.
Yeah. And stick around after the show for our Sonic Death Monkey Top 5, brought to you by Goose and Fern British Pub in Santa Rosa, California, where we cover the top 5 movie scenes that made our skin crawl. And as always, this is our time for an honorary Sam Coughlin spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this movie that came out like literally 20-something years ago, be warned, spoilers ahead. It's just the two of us, babe.
Just the two of us.
We can podcast if we try. But yeah, what does this movie mean to you, Javi?
So I saw this movie after Hostel. So Hostel was my introduction to Eli Roth. I remember watching Hostel and being like, maybe we'll do this on the podcast someday. But I remember being like, holy shit, like that was fucking awesome. Like, what else has this guy done? So then I looked up his thing. I was like, it was only like, at that point it was only like 2 other things, I think. Or maybe just like, actually,
I think it was just this, yeah.
Yeah, might have been like a TV episode or something. But yeah, so anyways, Cabin Fever, let's check it out. Pulled it up on the Comcast On Demand or whatever it was. Yeah, I remember enjoying like 90% of it, except for the 1 or 2 weird things, which we'll cover later, that, were like, okay, like that's a little too random or too weird for me. And I've probably only seen it like 2 times after that. The last time being when I showed it to someone that also hadn't seen it, that I was like, oh, hold on, you gotta watch this thing, and that was probably like 10 years ago. So
I saw this movie in high school and absolutely loved it. Like, this was just a random Blockbuster rental.
Oh, no way.
Like, yeah. I think I rented it like the year after it came out or something. So it was just like, kind of already in the discount aisle. And I was just like, oh, Cabin Fever. Like, yeah, sure. Why not? I was, for better or for worse, all about the edgelord style of humor and just the general weirdness on display. I remember having like just a random, like a binder for like English or something like that. And I had scratch moded written on it. I was definitely a fan as a kid. Most nostalgic scenes, my guy.
Sure, yeah. And this is going to sound sarcastic, but I'm not being sarcastic. From the opening title card, where you get that slow, it starts out like totally white except for the title. And then you get that slow, like it slowly starts saturating, right, into red, into blood red. And then it starts off with no music. And then you have the score coming in, quiet and building and building and building. And there's like the film grade on it. It just like gave me a lot of hope that what I had remembered was correct.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, okay, this is really cool. Like, this is someone who, like, loves horror movies. And, like, okay, that was a good way to kind of get psyched going into this movie.
Yeah, I had to, like, double check. It like, fooled me. It tricked me. Like, I literally did the old man thing of, like, is my TV on? Yeah. Like, what's going? Because it's, like, it starts with no sound.
Right.
And then the audio slowly, like, I was, like, literally cranking it.
Yeah.
And then a couple scenes later, I was literally cranking it. But I was like cranking the volume up. Just like and then when it finally, like the sound score finally comes in, I was like, yeah. Like quick, down. As far as, I guess, if I have to go top scene, Campfire, like the bowling alley story.
Yeah.
And then that going into Grimm and Dr. Mambo arriving, which is still one of my favorite exchanges, I think, of all time, because it's so stupid.
Yeah. Oh, God.
It's like, yeah, it's my dog, Dr. Mambo. It's like, oh, is he a doctor? What, does he have a PhD or something? Yeah, he's got a PhD in being a dog. Ooh, face. Scratch moded. Which I don't know what scratch moded is.
I have no idea.
I just love that he has like a thing he says.
Right.
Like kind of it's his bazinga or whatever for no reason. He's also, I just love that character because it's like there's so many times like where I've had a party or been to a party or like just done something out in the wild and then just like some weirdo just tries to join your little clique or your group and you're just like, okay, like and you try to be polite and then you're just like, oh no.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. So that scene, it might end up kind of being a spoiler for one of the later categories, but I have to mention it because I can't not mention it.
Yeah.
But what made that scene even better to me, but was the fact that as I'm watching it, right, we have the bowling alley massacre scene, and you know, you get the smiling bald guy, and I was like, oh shit, that's fucking Eli Roth. I laughed at the fact that immediately afterwards he shows up as Grimm. Anyways, yeah, so I'll just go ahead and say, yeah, spoiler alert, I'm like, that is not Eli Roth, smiling bald man. Watching it, that's the experience that I had. I was like, I started laughing. I'm like,
I was fooled when I first watched this. I was like, oh, it's just like some other, you know, random average looking white man.
Yeah.
But this time around, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, and I was kind of bummed to find out that it was his brother. This is like strong guerrilla filmmaking, indie movie vibes of just like, no one wants to play the guy who gets his head cut off, so I'll do it. And then no one wants to play the skeevy stoner, so I'll do it.
You know, I'm gonna go out and say it. I had a hard time categorizing whether a scene for me was a favorite scene or a nitpick. Like, I'm like, dude, this is fucking hilarious, and on some level I love it, and on another level this is so fucking stupid that like, you know, I don't know if I want to sit through this. I don't know if I would sit through this again. You know, whatever. We'll get to that at the end. But
that's the charm of this movie. I'm gonna argue in defense of Cabin Fever is like all of the randomness. That's what makes this movie.
You know, like for example, so like one of my other favorite scenes was the introduction of the old, slightly gay shopkeeper. Hey there, how y'all doing today?
I know, he's so.
It's just like so, you know, that little southern charm, and like he's such a funny character in, you know, but again, it just kind of, it took me out of the movie because I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, why is this guy in it? You know, like, and then, you know, obviously, you know, we got the line, you know, what's the rifle for? And that's for slur. Yeah. You know, and I was like, oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
We are hard set in 2003, baby. Yeah, no, I love that, man. Aside from that line. But yeah, just like, oh yeah, I had this woman in here. She had a touch of the palsy. She shattered a bunch of poor thing. I had to sit her in the back with some coke and ammonia. Calm her down.
Like, it's such a great character, and I wish I could see that guy, that character, that actor in other films.
Exactly.
So like, I love that. But, you know, again, like I said, it's kind of double-edged sword for me, where like that's a favorite scene, but then I also, you know, got something to pick with it. Yeah, I mean, I got more. We can just keep going.
Yeah.
We can just keep going.
I mean, dude, I unabashedly, I think I fucking love this movie. Unfortunately, I was hoping I didn't. Yeah. I was hoping I had matured enough not to love Cabin Fever, but yeah, I fucking love Cabin Fever. My second favorite scene is definitely Deputy Winston's initial investigation. Just like rolling up on like
bike,
little bike, and just like a truck that's covered in blood and beat to shit, and like everyone's kind of like manic and like they look like they might be strung out. We don't know what's going on. Like obviously an act of violence has occurred, and he's just like,
so nonchalant.
You bros were partying, eh? Yeah. I used to tip him back too back in my day, man. Like kind of thing. And just like, oh, who's the babe? And just like poor Karen just like rattled to her core. Looks like she's going to bust into tears and like, nice.
I bet you like to party.
Yeah, exactly.
With the ladies.
Yeah, man, this badge it'll age you out. You know, it'll grow you up. He's so good.
I thought, he's a great actor. That for sure. I was like, if I have a problem with the police officer, it's more about within the context of the story. Yeah, he read the script. He understood the assignment.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, okay, I give you props for that. The random pegging scene.
Yeah, that was my number 3, literally.
Which is like, I feel weird about it because on some level, I feel like, okay, I have a hard time reading Eli Roth because he kind of had some help writing the script. But, you know, if that was his idea, which I feel like it was, it's weird because it's almost like, okay, well, that's kind of cool and accepting, especially
it's
like 2002.
Progressive for him,
right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I could also see Eli Roth being like, this guy's gay. You know, he's getting his ass fingered.
Look how gross this is.
Right. And I could, you know, and then I could also see that being Eli Roth, but then also being like not closeted, you know, because, you know, whatever, but like just like someone who enjoys that recreational, you know, like that's he secretly loves it for some reason. So it's just weird. I just felt weird about it because I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, there's no way Eli Roth hasn't been pegged.
Yeah. It's just, but he seems like one of those guys who vehemently deny, like, no, dude, like, I don't know, but maybe
he's a self-hating pegger.
Sure. Yeah, you know, so it's just that kind of made it a little weird for me. But randomness of that scene popping up, like, oh shit, we're getting this in 2002. That's
Also on a tangent, like even when I watched it as like a teenager and stuff, I was confused by that scene too, because I was like, because now watching it, I'm like, oh, I think she's like using her thumb or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
But first time I watched it, I was like, oh, like, is she randomly trans?
Yeah,
like,
right.
is like the hottest woman in the movie randomly trans? It's like, okay, that's super progressive, Eli Roth. All right. Yeah, just like all of the one-liners. Like, what are you doing with that rifle, bud? And it's like, oh, I'm gonna go shoot some squirrels. Why would you shoot squirrels? Because they're gay. And it's like, Jesus Christ, man. That's so... Come on, guys. I'm not shooting them because they're gay. I don't care what their sexual preference is. I'm shooting them because they have to die.
Right. Well, and her response to him saying the squirrels are gay is, yeah, Bert, don't be an effing R slur, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, God, like, that's not any better.
Exactly. Oh, God, the deer. I love all just the random scenes.
Deer,
the deer in the windshield.
Just a random deer crashing into the fucking windshield and fucking flailing his little legs around, getting just fucking blood everywhere.
Like Evil Dead buckets of blood on him. And he has to reach for the shotgun and shoot it out.
Right, like, why? Like, yeah,
why?
like, just... Harmonica man, dude.
Yeah.
Getting hit with the guitar and getting the harmonica lodged in his throat. She's like wheezing for his life.
He's choking. Paul crashing the underage party.
Right.
And again, like him rolling up covered in blood and gasping for his life. And the first thing is like, oh, bro.
Party man,
you made it. Dude, grab a 40. Also, all these women are like 16. Let's fucking hang out.
Yeah. No, I'd kind of forgotten about that scene. And so the random, little bonfire hippie circle, I was like, oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Paul looking for help and accidentally spying on that woman for way too long.
I think at that point I looked down at my phone for a second because I was like backtracking on some notes I'd written, and so I looked up and I was like, wait, is that Marcy? Like I thought that was Marcy for a second, and I was like, I don't remember this, and I'm like, oh no, that's not Marcy, that's like an older woman, and then I was like, oh, it's just what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, he's like, my friends are sick, and then he just like rolls up and is like, oh. Yeah. Let's see how this develops for half a second. And then I love the husband coming out and like, what the fuck are you doing out here? It's my wife. And then that's when he's like, we're in trouble. And he's like, yeah, you are. Get the fuck off my property. Yeah, I've got one last one. Yeah, it's the Marcy Paul sex scene that's so awkward and then ends with him pouring Listerine on his dick because he thinks that's going to fight off whatever STD / like plague is going on. And then I know this has got to be your biggest nitpick, but just the weirdness of Dennis, the pancakes kid.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of just like exploiting some poor autistic child, but I do love that we get a weird slow-mo taekwondo sequence. Especially like towards the end of the movie where we've already like committed to the bit. We're already like, okay, yeah, this movie's fucking weird. Like, let's just see what happens next.
Yeah, it can't get any weirder. Like, oh yeah, it can. Oh yeah, it can. But yeah, I mean, we'll use that as a segue. But yeah, I had that as one of my nitpicks. And again, it's not not necessarily so much about the exploitation of it, which I do agree with.
I mean, I don't think that whether they are or aren't like actually on the spectrum or whatever isn't.
Well, no, but I figured that's kind of what he was going for. It was like, that seems like a very like Eli, he would be. What if this kid was like, kind of slow or whatever, whatever is.
Exactly. I was going to say, you can't give Mr. Roth any credit.
Yeah.
He can't be, he's not like trying to make this kid visible or anything like that. It's like, no. We're making fun of a person who's neurodivergent for sure.
Which, so I'll use Pancake / Karate Kid and blend that with the juvenile level writing just to kind of point out like my biggest criticism of this. It's not really criticism. It's more like I know deep down inside there's something brilliant in Eli Roth, like waiting to get out. Mm-hmm. But he just he can't pinpoint it. I think even at that point, I mean, he was like 30, so it's very juvenile, but I feel it's like even more. Yeah. Like he doesn't have it under rein. Like he's got this brilliant idea in his head, but I just don't think that he knows how to execute it.
He doesn't know how to get past his like edgelord fuck you attitude. Yeah. Also, it's 2003, so we didn't have like a ton of message boards. Yeah. Like, so it's like, I'm sure if he had access to 4chan, he might have like gotten some of this out of his system. Sure. Or he might have become worse, honestly. But like, yeah, I've got something to say, man. It's like, what do you have to say, Eli? Fuck you. Yeah. That's it? That's what you had to say? Yeah. Yeah.
So there was, the juvenile level writing, like, so there was a lot of points where, like, again, I didn't know if it was the writing, like, that's what it was on script. I didn't know if it was Eli's direction. I didn't know if it was, you know, for example, the actor playing Bert, right? If that was his intention, or if that's the kind of person he is, you know. But just like, I guess a lot of Bert's stuff was like funny, but then also very like you know, like it reminded me of my cousin Sam Martinez. I love you so much. But growing up, like he would do a lot of that. Oh yeah, like why don't you suck my dick? You stupid, you know, like. But you know, he was clearly like that was like the joke. Like we were both in on like, okay, like you're quote unquote being a douchebag, right?
That's just the frat boy mentality.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just like a lot. They're talking about they're sharing the sex stories around the campfire, and you know, Bert's like, well, this one time I was masturbating and the dog started licking my balls, you know, and he has a whole, and it's just like I don't know if that's too much, and not too much in that like, ooh, you know, I'm being a prude or anything, but just cringe at how like try to hammer the point of like, yeah, this guy's a fucking frat boy, and he's like, I'm like, yeah, dude, like
we get it.
We're like a fucking hour into the movie, like I don't need a 5-minute story about it, you know, his masturbation rituals or whatever. I don't think she has a name, but the lady who's gutting the pig.
Oh, yeah.
And she goes off and fucking says, God damn it, like 10 fucking times.
Oh, yeah, that's just bad direction.
Well, yeah, it was one of those things where like, hey, man, like, I could tell the first time she was really angry, you know, she could have said it 3 times, like, that would have, you know, she goes on forever, where I was like, okay, like, it's funny, you know, maybe it was, you know, it's funny, like, after 5 or 6, and I'm like, okay, like, this is stupid, this is funny. And then she still keeps going, and I'm like, oh, okay, the joke has kind of wore its welcome. Mm-hmm. But there's just a lot of instances for me like that where, like, I feel like could have cut back, like, a lot of the jokes, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my biggest nitpick is just, it's the what's the rifle for joke. Yeah. That's like the most dated thing in this movie. It's like, it's so rough now. Planting the seed to then have it, the end, it doesn't pay off strong enough. When I remember watching it as a kid, you know, as a teenage edgelord, and thinking that scene was hilarious. Mm-hmm. But now I'm just like, okay, you make the quick initial comment, you know, that we're just like, oh, this is just a racist, shitty, backwards old man. And then like, it's like, no, he's got black friends, and like, he's super like in with the crowd and stuff.
Right.
It doesn't build up enough tension, or like really like it happens so abruptly.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like it's kind of that, because this movie's just a spattering, I think, of ideas that Eli Roth had and shitty jokes that he wrote, that he's like, this is his first movie. He's probably like in the mentality of like, I am never going to get a chance to make another movie realistically.
Sure.
Because this movie was like just a sleeper hit, like out of the blue. Like it was not expected to be received well or like make any money. Mm-hmm. It was like done to be like it's going to play like 2 festivals, and it's going to be like a bargain bin DVD. And my second nitpick is an actual just nitpick.
Yeah.
So they're on break from school. It's autumn. What school lets you out in September, October, you know?
Right. Because the closest thing would be like Thanksgiving, huh? But that's November. That's in November. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's Thanksgiving break, but it was one of those things where it's like, like they treat it like it's like they just did finals, and they're like,
oh no,
woo!
they do say that. They do say finals.
Yeah.
It's like no more finals. So actually, you're right. You know, I felt like the idea for this film is great, but just not executed very well. There's the inconsistencies with how fast the infection like works or doesn't work, you know? For example, you have like the homeless man over like a period of like 3 days, he's like slowly, you know, decomposing. But then, you know, in some points of the movie, like the characters are like, oh, like hours later, they're like, their limbs are fucking falling off or whatever. So like, oh, okay, you know. Yeah, the homeless guy, he like coughed on them, like, and it was until the next day that happened. But then in other scenes, it's like, you know, somebody touches Marcy, and then like, you know, an hour later, oh my God, like I got the, you know, so that was kind of weird for me.
Well, I guess also it's like, because we don't have like a true like rules of the infection kind of like implanted. So it's also like, did someone drink a glass of water 2 days ago and we off screen, and then that's what got him, you know, like that, because there's that kind of thing too where. Yeah.
And I just feel like when the movie kind of kicks, like when the infection does start happening, it goes by like way too fast. Mm-hmm. I feel like I wish the film had, and it sounds weird because I'm going to say like I wish the film was longer, but
I don't. I think it's perfect. Like as far as length,
I want more gradual, slow burn, like introducing kind of like, oh, something is going on with their skin versus like, you know, oh, they got a rash. And the next scene, oh, fuck, it's all over my arm.
We wasted too much time on, look at my dick.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You know, again, I do appreciate the homages that he sprinkles out, you know, throughout this film to other horror movies. But I feel there's like 1 or 2 times where like the homage doesn't land right, where I'm like, okay, like, yes, I understand what you were referencing, but like it just seems very tacked on. Like for example, like the whole bunny scene, the whole bunny suit thing.
Yeah,
I'm like, you know, The Shining, you know, but it's like, but it's not as clever. It's clearly just like, oh, that's right. Like let's throw in a Shining reference in there just because, you know.
But like in The Shining, it has context of like, oh, it's, you know, a haunting of some sort. Here it's just like, oh yeah, this is just a weird small town, bud. Deal with it, kind of, yeah.
Kind of, kind of my usual theme of kind of pick a lane, or if you're gonna do this blend, then you got to do it right. Which my point was that I don't think Eli did it right.
I'm gonna save my rebuttal for the category that it belongs in. On to our rainy day double feature. What movie would you pair this with?
So I picked Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah,
because I feel that that's a film that does what Eli was trying to do a little better. A lot better, actually. A lot better. It's just a much better, better made, better like directed, better written film. Mm-hmm. Again, same thing. You got all the homages to the old horror movies, but and it does like the play on the expectations, and you still get like the yeah, we're bros kind of thing, but it's not overbearing, and then it ends up being part of the plot point, like, oh, okay, like this is why
exactly, like they are stereotypes for a reason kind of thing.
And it's just, I think it feeds into like kind of what I like more, the more kind of cerebral, like planned out kind of.
I went the opposite direction. I said, give me more edgy, stupid schlock. I said Idle Hands.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Because just like Cabin Fever, it's more of an edgy, dated 90s comedy than it is a horror film. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I just want more of that vibe.
Sure, fair.
I was like, give me Seth Green making the same very dated gay jokes. Why not? On to this movie's cocktail.
Stay away from me, Chuck. Whoa, don't come closer.
I'm real sick, Javi. Just let me, please. Unfortunately, I did drink the water, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, for this movie's cocktail, we have cabin beers. So for cabin beers, we've got 4 ounces of a house-made Michelada mix. So I did tomato juice, lime, hot sauce, a blend of spices, 16 ounces of a light beer. Combine all ingredients in a glass rimmed with chamoy and tajin, and just remember to party, because that's what's most important, is to keep partying, man. He says party 16 times.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, especially for you and I, and maybe some of the other listeners who have like written screenplays before. Mm-hmm. Like if you think about that number of times that would appear on your screen, like yeah, that's a lot. Like I feel that way just about like words that are actually just, well, you have to have to and from and stuff like that. Let alone something like party. Like I'm like, dude, seeing that so many times on the page is like, that's a lot.
Well, also, like, I'm curious, and maybe you have the answer to this, but like, oh, we're going down, folks. Oh no, the rash is building. But no, maybe you have the answer to this, but I was curious how much of this movie is just straight up ad-libbed, because I feel like a lot of Bert's stuff has to be ad-libbed and a lot of Officer Winston stuff.
Yeah, I didn't see anything on that, but I mean, I have the opposite effect.
You think he's just that shitty of a writer?
Yeah,
okay.
I really do. Well, just based on at least 75% of other Eli Roth films, that kind of tracks.
Yeah. Well, it's at this point we'd like to take a moment to thank our executive producers of the podcast. Thanks again, Eli Martinez.
Woo-hoo.
Addy, we'd party with you any day, and I already made that party joke, so it's time for an ad break. Ad break. And we're back with Act 2, the award categories. And we're going to do things a little differently today. We're going to start things off with a couple trivia tidbits.
So you just want to...
Yeah, we'll just back and forth them.
Sure. Yeah. All right, my first one is, none of the main characters actually die from the disease.
Oh.
Yeah. They all get killed by each other or other people, but nobody actually just rots away. None of the main characters rot away and die from the disease.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, that's true. That's wild.
Yeah.
This film was inspired by Eli Roth's struggle with a skin infection that he caught on a horse ranch in Iceland.
Yeah.
Which is the most Eli Roth thing I can think of.
Yeah.
It is, because he does come off as like a comes from money, pretty boy kind of dude. So he's like, yeah, like, I had to go to Iceland to my father's stupid ranch, and I caught this gnarly case of scabies. Like, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So Bert's shirt says ripe on 6/13/04, which is the date that Mary Kate and Ashley turned 18.
Ew. Yeah, that's... God damn it, Eli Roth. Okay.
Right, again.
Is trivia going to make me not like this movie?
He was like, oh, what if you wore this shirt? Like, get it? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
No, that's definitely, that's a good... Mr. Roth. The infamous "What's the rifle for" joke was in the first draft of the script.
Jesus.
which was written way back in 1996. He would not budge on that joke, and that joke is one of the many reasons the film was so hard to get greenlit. He's on draft 10, like taking it to like, you know, Columbia Pictures and like all this, and they're just like, do you need the N-word joke in there? And he's like, yes, I do.
Yeah, it's a bookend. It comes back at the end of the movie. Like,
Exactly. Do you not understand comedy?
right. What other joke am I gonna,
Yeah. I've got 3 jokes in this movie.
So Peter Jackson stopped production on The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King 3 times to screen this movie for the entire crew.
Yeah, people love this movie. And by people, I mean like filmmakers love this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Quentin Tarantino loves this movie.
Oh, yeah. Which I'm sure that's why he helped produce Hostel. Tarantino did. But yeah, that just got me cracking up because I just pictured poor Sir Ian McKellen, you know, thespian Sir Ian McKellen, like, oh God, we're watching this fucking movie again. Like, or maybe just enjoy. Either one is fun. Either him being like mad at Peter Jackson or him fucking be like, yes, I love this film.
Just like some poor extra in like 18-hour orc makeup, just like sitting down being like, again, we have to watch it again. But okay, all right. I woke up at 5 a.m. for this.
Right.
We're going to shoot one scene with me in full makeup because you want to watch you want to watch Cabin Fever? This is my favorite piece of trivia, and I'm sorry if I stole it from you. Auditions for the character of Marcy were scheduled on 9/11. And due to all of the chaos, they could not cancel them. They could not get through to the actresses that were going to audition. So they went through with auditions for this movie on 9/11, and the fucking kick in the pants. The sides that the actors had to read were the monologue about being, you know, doomed. And it like she compares having this disease to being in a plane crash.
Yeah.
And all you want to do is get laid or jump out. So yeah, that happened on 9/11.
Yeah, that's wild. Serena Vincent, the actress who plays Marcy, she did not want to be fully nude again for the fear of being typecast, and she had already been nude in a previous movie. So her and Eli Roth got into such a heated argument that they ended up compromising that she would show 1 inch of ass, no more. So when they were filming the sex scene between her and Paul, Roth brought a ruler and measured 1 inch of her ass crack and then taped the bed sheets to it so it wouldn't move.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
And then on that side note, she bares her breasts and does like borderline full frontal in the shower scene.
Yeah.
Which was not something he was trying to force her to do. She was just like, why the fuck would she be in a robe in the shower? So she like, went for it. I mean, obviously her body, her choice. But yeah, that's also just like, fuck Eli Roth. A member of the crew took home one of the prosthetic corpses that he was like a prop maker. And he was held at gunpoint in a standoff with police for over an hour until they could verify that it wasn't a real body. Definitely wasn't the dog. I can tell you that because that fucking dead dog at the beginning, I lost it. Oh yeah, I was just like, oh, that looks so bad.
Yeah, I'm like, the guy's like, come here, boy, come here. He's clearly fucking
dog
dead.
is clearly a stuffed animal.
Yeah.
If it's not a stuffed animal, that is clearly dead, sir.
Yeah.
Also, I watched this with my wife, and Lauren is like, she like sat down, you know, she's like kind of milling about, and she's like, oh, you know, what are you watching kind of thing. Sat down, she's like, oh, fuck. This movie opens with a dead dog. Why are you doing, like, she's like, fuck this movie. Why are you doing this movie? We've got my new band name. What memorable quote would you turn into a band name, a song, an album?
My first one, which I'm sure you probably had it on there too, was Brighton Bowling Murder Scene.
Oh, that's really good.
Or something to that effect, but yeah, which is obviously like an emo band.
Yeah, they're like Sunny Day Real Estate, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, my band is a 90s jam band called Dr. Mambo.
Yeah.
Their hit song is Professor, and then in parentheses, of being a dog. And it obviously has to be off their album Scratch Moded. Which I still want to know what the fuck that means, if it means anything.
Yeah, I'm sure that was just like an inside joke between Eli Roth and like his friends. Like that's probably something they maybe like Scratch Moded. His 5 friends in the movie theater in the screen, the film premiere, like laughing their asses off, and everyone was like, ah. I had a variation of the Dr. Mambo, so I had Grimm and Dr. Mambo.
Nice.
And then I had Looking for Squirrel. What are you doing, Bert? Looking for squirrel.
We have the Roger Deakins Would Be Proud Award for cinematography.
The one I'm going to go with is, which again, it's so frustrating because it's such a good idea, but the zooming in on Paul playing with the honey on his fingers.
That is my number one.
Like the slow zoom, pan in to foreshadow like the disease. Like, oh, it's so good. And I'm just like, I feel like it would be even better if the film was brilliant.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like he's got like certain jokes that do tickle your funny bone and he's got some really good shots, but then you're like, God damn it, it's just buried in there.
Yeah, but that's great. That's a good one.
It's a corny shot, but it just, it works for a reason. It's an homage to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's like the Hollywood shot of Marcy's butt as she's like walking up to one of the houses to like knock on the door to see if anyone's home.
Yeah.
And it was in the trailer. It was like it's just very like iconic. It's one of those. Yeah. But the honey scene is like, chef's kiss.
The red POV from the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Like when the dog chases people and it turns to red and black. Yeah. It looks cool. It's one of those things where like, I can't be mad.
Yeah, like, it's also so of its era too. It's so like early 2000s, late 90s kind of like horror movie trope that I'm like, love to see it. Is that Channing Tatum in a dog collar? An actor with an unexpected cameo or bit part? I said the whole fucking movie.
Yeah, I had Adam Roth as the happy bald man because I thought that was Eli Roth. And so again, that scene earlier was funny because I thought like, oh, Eli Roth has put himself twice in the fucking, within the span of 30 seconds. And then I was like, no, I found out he has a brother who they're not twins, which is weird.
That's really weird.
Yeah, they're 2 years apart. But I was looking at a picture side by side. I was like, dude, no, like they are fucking twins. And there's a third Roth brother who does look a little different.
Okay, but I was going to be freaked out.
He still does have the eyebrows, and you could see the resemblance. I
have James DeBello as Bert and Giuseppe Andrews as Winston. Both are from Detroit Rock City.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bert is Trip. And then Giuseppe Andrews is, I can never remember his name. Lex, yeah. The guy with the belt. Yeah, that's what I always call him. I mean, the main character, Ryder Strong.
Right.
Is from fucking Boy Meets World. Mm-hmm. And then my last one was Joey Kern, who plays Jeff. He is, just pull over, man. Just pull over. We can't pull over anymore, bro. We're already pulled over.
Super Troopers.
Yeah, he's one of the stoners from Super Troopers, which I don't know if I forgot to look at his IMDb, but I'm like, did he just do, I think he might have made like 2 movies or 3 movies kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it was mostly TV stuff, I think.
Yeah. We've got the Hans Gruber Death Fall Award. What was your most satisfying death?
We might have the same one, maybe, but I had the harmonica guy.
The harmonica guy is pretty fucking good.
Funny. I don't think any death in this movie was satisfying per se to me, but that was the one that was most memorable to me.
I had the 3-way death of the rednecks, like that are going to take out the teenagers. So you get the one guy getting shot, cut to like screwdriver through the ear, and then the other guy like fighting for his life as freaking Paul just beats him with a log.
Yeah.
Which also again, just kind of bad filmmaking, but why does Paul become a homicidal maniac at the end of the movie, basically? Like he's just taking everybody out. Like he doesn't have to kill the underage party.
Right.
Which leads us to, as long as we're putting opinions out there, we've got why Luke likes Waterworld, a controversial hot take.
I don't have a hot take for this film. I just wanted to mention that the people in this film remind me of why we had COVID for so long.
Yeah.
That's all I was thinking for this movie. Really. People just walking towards people, coughing, and stay away from me. Like nobody, no, I need help. Like, dude, you're fucking sick. Like, if you need help, just fucking sit there. I will bring you some water. I will bring you a blanket. Don't come towards me and start coughing all over me, Again, maybe the hermit one kind of makes sense because, you might not be in the right state of mind because, hermits usually are not.
Yeah.
But like when...
Karen.
Yeah, Karen. Yeah, when she's, begging everybody, let me out of the thing, she's...
Oh my God, she's being a maskless Karen.
Yeah. I think you're one of the smarter people in this group, Karen. Like, why are you fucking trying to get us infected, man?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Jeff is a dick, but he's he's like future thinking. He's like, he's following the 6 feet rule. He's he's like, I don't want to get in his whole thing too.
We shouldn't eat each other's food. Yeah.
And his whole thing too, he's like, I don't want you guys to get sick. I don't want to get sick. Yeah. Like, let's just not do this. Yeah. Let's just stay the fuck away from each other and maybe we can get through it. Which I do love that he just, his major plan is to just steal a 12-pack and go hide in a cave. He just gets fucking blasted and comes out hungover. And he goes, I don't understand why that character goes back to the cabin other than they needed a reason to kill him off.
Sure.
But I do love the bit where he goes from tears of sadness that all his friends are dead to tears of joy of I fucking made it. Yeah, my hot take is I don't think it's really a hot take, but this film is unremakeable. They tried to remake it. Like I didn't even bother. Yeah, I had no idea. I'm like, that can't be a thing because this movie is so grounded in the early 2000s, and also like without the general weirdness and edgy Eli Roth humor, whether you like it or not, this movie would be boring and flat and fucking pointless. Like, because I would argue that the film itself, it's not a great, like, I'm going to make this is where I'm having the rebuttal to what you said, where you're like, it's a good idea, poorly executed. I think it's a bad idea, semi-okay executed. Because I think that like 4 kids getting sick in a cabin, not that interesting. So I would argue that he kind of had to turn it into a weird off-kilter comedy to get it even remotely watchable. Because otherwise, like, it's just, I'm infected. And it's like, I'm infected too. Yeah, Eli Roth is also not the guy who's going to be able to write a script that's subtle enough to get that across. Sure,
that's fair. I can see that. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I did look into the remake, or I just kind of read up on it. And so, but it sounds like it's, shot for shot, script follows a script exactly. So that's what I'm curious about. Like, all the racist stuff and the homophobic, that's still in there.
That's wild.
I believe that's what it looked like online. So I'm kind of curious to like watch it. You're just like the first 10 minutes and just to see like how it comes across,
Yeah.
Because then again, that makes it even more like, well, what is the point if you just remade it like line for line, shot for shot?
Exactly.
It was only like 10 years after the original. So again, I think I want to check out just the first 10 minutes because I know I can't make it past that.
Yeah. Everything I saw online was just like, this is bad. Like there was no reason to do this.
Sure.
Speaking of no reason to do this, and this is bad, here comes Kanye. I'm just going to use this moment to plug this show. We've got a ton of episodes, folks. Go back, listen to them. Also, if you guys could like and share and subscribe and do all that kind of very cringy cliche stuff that everyone tells you to do, it would help us out. Leave a comment on an episode. All that kind of stuff helps us get views. And we've got Blue Velvet meets Blue's Clues. What film would you mash up with Cabin Fever?
So I had Cabin Fever meets The Fly.
Oh.
Yeah, in that again, there's like that, gross gag out, factor, but it's done much more slowly. Again, it's a little bit more slow burn. It kind of into full grossness is more gradual. Unlike the characters in Cabin Fever, you care for the characters in The Fly, mostly. Again, I do like the idea of the 4 teenagers in the cabin contracting the disease. So I think just under a more serious director with a little bit more of a serious tone that can actually also be a little more subtle with the script, I think it would be much more enjoyable.
Oh, Cronenberg would knock this out of the park.
Yeah. Like I would love to see that. So
yeah, I had speaking of Cronenberg, I had Cabin Fever meets Scanners.
Ah, nice. There you go. Fuck yeah.
Because I think Scanners, this is a hot take probably for a lot of folks, I think Scanners is fucking boring. I think Scanners could use a campy comedic punch up because aside from like some like telekinesis stuff and like the head explosion scene, it's kind of a slog. So like if Cronenberg could have lightened up on that one and had more kind of like, oh, this is fucking weird and like kind of more campy because, we're making a movie about, telekinetics killing people with their minds. Let's have more fun with it, man. Let's loosen up a little. Let's bring in the rifle joke. No, for the love of God, let's not. Do we call Jules and Vincent? Good or bad? Is this movie worth a rewatch?
So again, I feel really conflicted about it because I did laugh out loud. By definition, I did enjoy watching this movie. But the reality is like, I'm trying to justify seeing this again, right? Like having just seen it now with the more analytical view and in this day and age. And I just don't see myself recommending it to anybody or even being like, hey, have you seen Cabin Fever? Let's watch that. Unless I was like really, really drunk and I was like, oh, let's fucking throw a Cabin Fever, we're gonna laugh. So I'm kind of in the middle, but I had to lean more towards I'm gonna kill it.
Kill it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
I said let live. I really wanted to kill it. Like walked into this movie expecting to kill it because I hadn't seen it in like a decade plus and I was like, oh, that shit has not aged well. But I had so much fun, unfortunately. I wish I was a better person. I am not. Dick and fart jokes still get me to my core. And I say let this movie live. But also I say kill Eli Roth. Because I would argue that I haven't seen Thanksgiving yet. I really want to see Thanksgiving.
I have to check it out. Everyone says it's pretty good.
I'm saving it for Thanksgiving. Yeah. This is his best movie in my eyes. Because I feel like everything after this, like this is edgelord, fuck you, haha. Everything after this, he starts kind of believing his rhetoric a little too much. Like he starts getting a little bit more like, what's the fucking Bruce Willis movie that he remade?
Death Sentence.
Death Wish.
Death Wish, yeah.
That movie is just so like, ugh, goddamn it, Eli Roth. And then Green Inferno. is fucking rough. It's just some xenophobic, racist bullshit. I would say, I mean, in the grand scheme of Mr. Roth, they gotta let this one live, because this is his, I think, he didn't know no better. He was just a 30-year-old boy.
That's the way to sum up Eli Roth for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, that brings us to our Sonic Death Monkey Top 5, brought to you possibly for the last time by Goose and Fern, British pub in Santa Rosa, California. Because this is a rough Death Monkey list. So once again, go support Goose and Fern. Lovely people. Lovely place, but they have nothing to do with what is about to come out of my mouth.
Ooh.
It's not that bad. I'm trying to build it up, but yeah. Top 5 all-time movies or movie scenes that made your skin crawl.
Yeah, so for my number 5, I had the car exhaust death scene in Midsummer, where the sister has rigged the car's tailpipe to like some kind of tube hose, and she like taped it to her mouth to commit suicide. Yeah. I remember seeing that in theaters and like, oh, that's how we're fucking starting this movie.
That floored me in theaters. Yeah. I was like, oh, here we fucking go. Yeah, we have a movie. Yeah. Yeah. I had, for my number 5, I to be fair, I'm a reformed edgelord. I used to seek out like the gnarliest, most fucked up does. I didn't put any of the like just total like, you haven't seen that, bro, like rotten.com level shit. So just like spoiler alert, I don't have any scenes of sexual assault, and I don't have any like Serbian film kind of stuff.
Right.
So I tried to go more like actual watchable movies.
Yeah, I would echo that sentiment as well. There's other stuff we could have put on here that I also
there's stuff that literally makes my skin crawl, but it's also like I'm not going to watch that ever. So my number 5, I went Kuso, and I went with the Boyle sex scene. So if you're not familiar with Kuso, I think he's only made one movie. It's the film debut from the electronic musician Flying Lotus. Really gnarly, raunchy horror comedy. I wanted the movie to be good. The movie's bad. But it does have some very memorable scenes, including a scene where a character has a hideous boil and then another character makes love to it. And exactly, Javier almost threw up in his mouth. And once again, we love Goose and Fern. Please support them. They have nothing to do with the rest of this list.
Yeah, so for my number 4, I have Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's the scene where Tina, the character, she gets killed in her sleep, and Freddy's like making her levitate in the room, and she's like being thrown up against the walls and crawling backwards and getting slashed up.
Oh yeah,
it's just, again, it's one of those things that, like, it holds up so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like the effects on that are fucking amazing, and it's just so unsettling. Like that being like the true like introduction to like what Freddy Krueger can do. And it's just again, I think it's more just because it's so well done to this day that it holds up 100%. That I watch that, I'm like, oh, it looks so creepy, it looks so weird. Like, how did they do that? Like, yeah.
For my number 4, I've got Mr. Roth making the list. I've got the female circumcision stuff from Green Inferno. That movie fucking sucks. So again, my first 2 movies on this list, I can't recommend. They both kind of suck. But as far as skin crawling, like, they don't ever truly show anything, but it happens. And so there's so much implied that you're just like, I want to turn this off. I want to turn this fucking movie off, but I have 15 minutes left. I might as well just finish it.
So my next 3 are more on the kind of subtle mindfuck, kind of skin crawling. So for my number 3, I had... there's a film called Cachet, Michael Haneke. I don't know if you've seen it. Yeah. But basically, long story short, it's a film about a stalker. And so it's the first moment in that film when you realize that every time we've seen an establishing shot of the character, it's actually been the stalker, like, filming them. And I think it's the first time in the film when you realize that it just, like, sent shivers down my spine. I was like, oh my God, I've been watching like 30 minutes of like that guy's been there. He's been filming him the whole time. And it's just like, ugh.
That movie's so well done.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, my number 3, and this is my last gross out, and then I'm getting into more cerebral, more stuff that actually, But my number 3, I got to give it to Mr. Roth again. It's the fucking eyeball scene from Hostel. I saw that in theaters at like whatever age I was when Hostel came out, like fucking 17 or 16 or something, and I just remember being like so icked out, like just being like so like, I fucking hate this movie. Like, I was having fun until this happened. I fucking hate this movie. That and like when they cut the Achilles like tendons.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah,
that's bad.
Both of those are just like. I mean, we'll probably do Hostel on this pod, but I'm just like, yeah, it's one of those where I'm like, that movie fucking, yeah, not a fan.
Yeah, like I said, I think I love Hostel. For my number 2, and this is a recent one that I saw. So I have Skinamarink, and it's the final scene in the film, which is not really spoiling anything. I don't think it ruins anything. You'll kind of know where this is going once you start watching the movie. You're like, okay. But basically, a lot of the film is kind of grainy, and there's a lot of stuff that's not really in focus. And so, you get little subtle hints of like, okay, I think that's something over there, and it's making me really weirded out. But anyways, so the final scene, right, it kind of, you get a more clear picture of what's in the dark, but it just like slowly fades in from like the grain, and once you like pick up on what you're seeing, oh man, I couldn't go to sleep for like a while. Like I was like, I had to stay up and like, I think I put on like The Office or something and made myself a little cup of hot cocoa, and I was like, I can't go to sleep. Yeah,
I think I gotta watch that movie fucking 9 a.m. 6 cups of coffee. Because I've tried to watch that movie twice, like late night after work or whatever. Like I'm trying to be like, oh, this is like, it's a spooky movie. I got to get in the mood. I got to watch this at like 2 a.m. Pass out every time. I'm like, this is the most boring fucking thing I've ever seen.
Sure, I could 100%. I will not argue with anybody that says it's not for them.
But I mean, it worked for me. I want to give it a shot. I would like to finish it. For my number 2, I have Meeting the Children, and I use children in quotes, from the film American Gothic. So American Gothic is this like 80s weird slasher. It's on Tubi for sure. Okay. It's like these teenagers, and again, like they're 30-year-olds playing teenagers, get marooned on an island, and basically like the only like house on the island is this old couple who are very old-timey and have like very like, children should, be seen, not heard, and like ladies, don't like address men directly, and like all that kind of like very old-timey shit. But they have these kids, and the children are not what they seem. And the first time you meet the kids, it's like, oh, I don't like this at all. Like it makes my feet sweat, because you're just like, oh, this is fucking, there's abuse and there's whatever the fuck this is.
Okay. I haven't seen that one. I know of it, but I haven't seen it. So check it out. And for my number 1, again, I can't necessarily put into words why this like gets me, but it's still to this day, like every time I watch it, I prepare myself for it and I can't get over it. It just still gives me the heebie-jeebies. So It Follows, the scene where they reveal the tall man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why, but the first time I saw that, I was like paralyzed. I was like, it freaked me the fuck out.
It's so good.
Yeah. And it's just so well done.
I fucking love that movie. Yeah. I wish they didn't have the pool ending.
Yeah, sure.
That's my only qualm with that movie, though. It's like, because that's one of those only like, okay, now we're falling into like, we're going to kill it kind of thing. And it's like, no, the whole point is like, it's this unstoppable unknown.
Yeah. Which, I don't know if you heard. You don't know if you heard, but they're making a sequel.
Yeah.
So, I'm curious. I'm keeping my expectations way down. But
I mean, I've liked pretty much everything that guy's made.
Yeah.
So as long as he's still making it, I'm like, well, I'm in. And my number 1, harassment calls from Black Christmas. Have you ever seen Black Christmas, the 70s one?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just like, hello, like you've got, I can't think of her name right now. Like Margot Kidder, like just like English, like hello, like da love, like kind of thing. And then just, mommy, huh? Oh, yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking gut you like a fish. Oh, please, daddy. Like just like the most like fucking word salad, like pitch changing, screechy sound. Like it's just so like, oh God, it's so, yeah.
Yeah, what a great choice.
Yeah, like that is like instantly, like I know they call the cops, but that's like the first call I got like that. I'm like, nope, not doing it. Nope, we're disconnected. I know it's the 70s and this is our only line of communication. I'm ripping the fucking phone out of the wall. Well, thank you for listening, if you're still listening. I have been Chuck Starzenski.
And I have been Javier Martinez, a.k.a. Grim.
And we have been the Nostalgia Killers.
Bang, bang.
Scratch Moda.